and then they ask you, what do you do?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
First thing out of my mouth is play football.
Yeah.
But I don't play football anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't say that.
Yeah.
So who am I outside of this? And I had to, I had to soul search. I had to soul search, man. I had to ask myself the question often, like, who are you?
Yo, what up? It's your boy Rubino.
And this DJ in the building.
And you listening to the UpNUp Podcast.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we doing?
I don't know, just listen.
Yes. Welcome.
What it do?
Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned into the UpNUp Podcast on the UpNUp Network. I'm your host, Rubino.
And I'm DJ man.
What's going on, dog?
Man. Weather.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, we're getting some good weather out here, man.
That's what's going on.
I'm feeling good, man. If this is your first time tuning in, this is the UpNUp Podcast. This is the podcast where we're focused on cultivating culture, right? We do that by providing amazing stories of individuals, groups, movements, hustlers, movers, shakers, right?
Yep.
Kicking down doors. I can go for days. You know that.
I already know it.
But yeah, man, just out here inspiring and carving lanes for themselves as well as people coming from behind, right? Definitely want to shout out, obviously, the family members, which we consider family. All the consistent listeners, supporters, viewers of the show. We appreciate y'all. We thank y'all for rocking with us. Gonna keep going, right? It's episode 65.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man, I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. We always provide our audience with a special guest, right?
Always.
And today's no different, right? Today's no different. Today's guest is a brother, I would say, who exemplifies what it means to stay 10 toes down, right? And remain resilient through the journey, right? I think everybody needs to learn how to do that, at some point.
Yeah.
I would say he's a true culture cultivator who's keeping everything he's doing on the up and up, right? Someone who represents the phrase, which is very popular nowadays, to be more than an athlete, right?
Yeah.
To give you some insight, the brother has tons and tons of football playing experience, both on the collegiate level as well as professional. Former wide receiver for the NFL, San Francisco 49ers, and now currently founder and CEO of Warrior Academy, which is a year-round training program dedicated to the development of student athletes across all ages and sports. And this is what I love, their philosophy, right? I love to get into the philosophy, and their philosophy is come as you are with the mindset to learn, work hard, and we will grow from there.
Yes,
I love that, right?
Yeah, that's dope.
Our guest is none other than the good brother himself, DiAndre Campbell. Can we get a round of applause? Come on.
Yeah.
Give it up for the brother, man.
Thank you, man. I'm glad you guys have me on the show. I appreciate being on the show.
How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good, man.
Yeah?
Like Irv said, man. I'm, it's been a nice sunny day today.
Yeah.
So I just got done with some training sessions before coming here.
I felt the energy when you walked in.
Yeah.
I felt it.
Yeah, man. As much as I'm able to give energy off to the kids, from my experience and stuff like that. They give me just as much energy back in return.
I feel that, yeah.
If I'm high, if my energy is up right now, it's because of them, not necessarily me on my own.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Well, you brought it in here.
Yeah, definitely.
Wake it up.
Good. Oh yeah. Got to.
So we usually start the show off with a quote of the day, kind of get the conversation started.
Okay.
Quote man, across the way over here.
Yeah, that's me.
What you got for us, Art?
All right, so the quote of the day today is, I do what I do because it's the right thing to do. I am a warrior, and it is the way of the warrior to fight superior odds.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that warrior was in there too.
Yeah, I try to tie that in. Yeah,
He's strategic with the quotes.
Yeah. I see
Who was that quote by?
This Canadian dude named Paul Watson. He's like a environmentalist, so yeah.
Shout out Paul Watson.
Yeah.
Okay,
love
Paul.
Yeah,
Respect.
cool.
Yeah.
Respect.
Well, that definitely steers us into the conversation because now, obviously, your story is your story, right? And everybody has one. But if you can, with the Warrior Academy, which I kind of touched on in the intro, if you could kind of explain from your viewpoint, like what is kind of the inspiration and objective that fuels what you're doing with the students and the athletes and those that you work with.
Yeah. So
you can explain that.
So I think the fuel for me, man, is my own story. It's my own story, man. I wasn't coming out of high school. I'm originally from Oakland, California. Shout out to Oakland.
Shout out to the Bay. I love the Bay.
Got to. For me, man, coming out of high school, I was a 2-star recruit. You know, you look at all these, you know, athletes, no matter what sport you're playing nowadays, you know, if you're not a 4-star, 5-star recruit, you know, you're overlooked, you know. And I experienced that early on before I even got to UW in high school, getting myself in a position to qualify to get a scholarship. I wasn't the most athletic guy. I didn't even my first time playing tackle football was my freshman year in high school.
No way.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I didn't play tackle football till my freshman year in high school. I had some lineman cleats, some big boat shoes out there.
Yeah.
And the only reason I played tackle football was because my brothers, I got 2 older brothers, they played. So they were like, hey, you going to play too.
I'm going to do what they do.
Right. I'm going to do what my brothers do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go out and play. And then, because my sport was hoop.
Okay.
Like, I was hoop through and through.
Gotcha.
I wanted to go to the league. And if I didn't go to the league, I was going to try to go overseas because I was like, well, there's more avenues in basketball than there is in football. And I've never played tackle football, so why would I even think that?
That makes sense.
But
that makes sense.
I had coaches that believed in me. And I always say that, you know, it's important to have somebody that believes in you when you don't even see it in yourself. And I was able to have that. And I think that me having that, me still being an underdog, having to work my butt off, I put that same energy into my kids. So whether you're a 5-star recruit out of high school or nobody knows who you are, you're still going to get the same energy and effort out of me. And personally, I get more fueled when I have kids that, you know, aren't those main guys on their team. You know, because I know them.
You've been there.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Like, I know you.
That makes sense.
And so for me to, like, start wherever they're at and see where they're at, see where their mentality is, and help them grow their mentality, it carries over into how they play. It carries over into how they approach the classroom, how they are as kids at home.
That's amazing,
and man, it's just crazy. Like, you know, when I first started training, I really didn't know what I was doing. Like, and I'll be the first one to admit that I really didn't know what I was doing. I started with 6 cones and a football. And the first kid that I trained, we were training, he had never played receiver before. He had only played, I think on his middle school team, he had played like DN and tight end. So he had never played receiver before. And so I remember we were training. It was probably like our 4th or 5th session. And after we had got done training, the daddy came up to me and he said, hey, man, you know, his name was Sky. He was like, hey, Sky he's been growing at his football practices. He's been better at home. He's been better with his schoolwork. And he was just like, man, you've been a godsend to my son and my family. And I'm like, and I, you know, me just being myself, I'm like, thank you, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You know, thank you, I appreciate that. And so they leave. I get in the car and I'm just sitting. I ended up sitting in the car for like 45 minutes to an hour, just like.
I had to set in.
Like, man, like I'm really out here impacting people's lives for the better. Like you said, I'm a godsend. You didn't just say you appreciate my ability. You said I'm a godsend. So
words are powerful, man.
Right, like that was just like the fuel that I needed to hear to be like, okay, let me do more of this. And so, yeah, man, that's been where I got my inspiration to keep it going. Yeah,
that's
keep
the
it
fuel.
Going.
Man, that's beautiful, bro. I love hearing that.
Yeah. So you did say you was from Oakland. So what was it like growing up out there?
So, man, it was rough.
Yeah.
I'll say that, man. It was definitely rough. You know, when you wake up in the morning and, you know, you hear what you hear. You hear gunshots. You walk outside. You see people walking down the street.
Yeah.
You know, homelessness. You know, drug dealing, all that type of stuff, and around you. You know, it keeps you alert.
Yeah.
You know, like even to this day, I don't like walking. If I'm walking somewhere, I don't like people walking behind me.
Yeah.
Like if I feel like somebody walking behind me, like nah.
Yeah.
I'll turn around, see who it is. It don't matter where I'm at.
Yeah, I feel you.
You know, but I definitely came from a supportive community. You know, I grew up in a 2-parent household. Grew up in church. And so for us, it was like, you know, that's the community that surrounds us in Oakland, but we don't have to be necessarily products of the community in a negative light.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many good people in Oakland, and that's what I was striving to do. You know, I remember growing up in elementary school, there was this program called the DARE program. And one thing about the DARE program is I remember one of the slogans when they would come into the classroom was dare to be different. And so I took my surroundings, you know, my community, you know, where, you know, every night on the news is somebody else being shot and killed.
Yeah.
Somebody else being arrested, some other robbery. And it's not, it's only people that look like me. It's only black people.
Yeah,
That's on.
yeah.
That's on. So it's like all these negative stereotypes and connotations about people that look like me. I need to dare to be different to change that. And it's just been one of those. Growing up in Oakland has also put me in a position to where I carry that chip on my shoulder. Like there's people that have come before me that had less than me. That did more. So if they can do what they did with what they had, I can do that and then some of what I've got.
Oakland is a very, very historical, like legendary just place. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you just get into the history of America.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so like I can understand how you could be so inspired living there and growing up there. You know what I mean? I love the Bay too. I love Oakland. I remember I spent a month out there. I was like, I want to live here, bro.
Yeah.
It's
man.
different, but it's an energy thing too.
Yeah.
From everybody that came before, like you said. And I do want to kind of get into the environment. Like you spoke on the environment, but there's like you spoke about your brothers playing ball, and that's what kind of inspired you. Like, was there like a pivotal moment that you can reflect and say, like, whoa, I think this was the moment that I kind of knew that this is what I wanted to do. Like, sometimes it may be a person sitting you down telling you directly, or it could be an experience. Is there something like that you could speak to?
Man, so if we were talking about football, the moment that I think did it for me was after the season when I saw my name in the newspaper.
Yeah. That could do it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. For real.
So the backstory to that is like I said, I didn't play tackle football till I got to high school. So my main sport was basketball. So I didn't take football as serious. But my coaches stayed on me about it. Like they were on me. I remember it was the summer going into my junior year. They were like, "Hey man, like we know you play AU basketball, but we need you in this weight room every day, getting this work in, and then you go practice." And I'm like, "Man, why you on me like this?" They like, "Cuz we see it in you.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
Like you just gotta come and do the work." And so I'm like, "All right." So I missed AU basketball tournaments, which I hated. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna trust these dudes. I'm gonna trust them. I don't know these from Adam, but I'm gonna trust them. And so go through my junior season, and I ended up having a great season. I ended up being all first team, all league. Ended up making like the all Bay Area team or whatever. And so I'm on the basketball. And so I go to church one Sunday after my basketball game. It was that weekend. A deacon at my church, he used to always bring me the newspaper. Because at that time, you didn't have, there was no huddle. There wasn't no way to track your stats like that. You could only do it in the newspaper. So he brings the newspaper. I'm thinking, this is going to have my stat line from the basketball game. He's like, "Hey, your face and your name is in the front of the sports section." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Stop playing. Like, you play too much." He was like, "Nah." And he showed me the newspaper, and I looked, and I saw my face, and I was like, "What?" And I kid you not, that was a Sunday. And then that Monday, I started getting recruiting letters from colleges.
Wow.
And so that was that. It was at that moment. It was like, I thought back to when the coaches was like, "Hey, we need you to commit to do this work, so that way you can put yourself in a position to where your parents don't have to pay for you to go to college." And so after that, all my offers started coming in.
That's wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy how that happens, right?
Man, like I was like, "Oh, so this football thing is real."
Yeah, and it's like the,
really
the uncertainty of like, yo, you need to be doing. It's like you said, someone can see what's for you even when you don't see it for yourself.
Right.
And someone's like, "Yo, you should do this, or at least try at least."
Exactly.
And then boom.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly, man. And
that's crazy. That's dope.
I think another story for me, man, that came to the realization for me about the NFL not being that far off was I played with Jermaine Kearse. Jermaine was my teammate in college. I saw we was together on a regular basis, whether it was training, whether it was practice, whether it was lifting, getting extra work. And I'm like, I watched this guy for 2 years. Like, I know he's a stellar receiver.
Yeah.
He's from Washington. Everybody, praises him, stuff like that. He's balling. He's doing his thing. And so to see him go to the NFL, go to the Seahawks, I'm like, wait, so I was literally just like 2 lockers down from him.
Yeah.
And at that time, I wasn't even thinking about going to the NFL. I was like, well, I got my free school. I got school for free.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna just get this degree.
Yeah.
And they can't ever take away this piece of paper from me. I came to get it anyways. Let me get that, and then I'll just figure it out. But then watching him, I'm like, okay, Jermaine, he's in the league. He was just my locker mate. wait, maybe the NFL isn't as far away from being attainable as I think it is.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Maybe if I just keep on doing what I've been doing, I can give myself a chance to get there. And that's when it clicked on that the NFL was an opportunity that I could take advantage of if I just put the work in.
That influence, man.
Yeah.
People around you, man. You got to pay attention, man.
Yeah.
I always say inspiration's in abundance, bro. It's in abundance, bro, if you just look around. So
Yeah.
That's definitely a moment where you can, shit. My guy who's standing next to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
It's like, it don't always got to be LeBron or like, you know, someone like Obama. Like, it can be the person right next to you.
Right.
That's real.
Honestly, my coaches.
Yeah.
You know, they had told me that. So UW had called me. Coach Sark had called me. I think at this time I had probably about 5 or 6 offers. And Coach Sark had called me. They wanted me here. They didn't care because I played free safety, corner, and receiver and returner, kick return, punt returner in high school. So they were like, we don't know what side of the ball we want you to play on, which one we like. You know, we like you on more, but we just want you here. And so I was like, oh, okay, thanks.
Yep.
I'm going to take that offer or whatever, and it is what it is. I'll get more offers, and then I'll take my visits. And so, because that's what they told me to do. Because I told you, I didn't have no understanding of recruiting.
Yeah.
I didn't know what – I just knew that I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't know the trajectory or how to get there. And so they had made me the offer, and I think it was like a week that went by. And we was in the weight room in the offseason in that summertime, and they were like, hey, stay in here. Everybody else had left out. They were like, stay in here. And they closed the door.
Yeah.
And it was literally like, 5 or 6 coaches in there, and it's just me in there.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man,
What's going on?
Like, what they about to do?
They trying to jump.
Yeah, like, what's going on?
For
Like,
real.
hold on. Like, what y'all doing? And so they was like, we just trying to figure out why you haven't accepted that Washington offer yet. And I'm like, I thought y'all told me to wait till like get all my offers and then take my visits. They was like, yeah, we know we said we don't think you should pass up on that. And I was like, okay. So they told me why I shouldn't pass up on it. So they said that, you know, Steve Sarkisian at the time, coming from SC, he had so many NFL prototype quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You know, they ran a West Coast offense, which was a pro-style offense. So if I went to the NFL, what I learned in college and did in college for 4 to 5 years would translate over smoothly. And so, you know, and Sark was a young head coach at the time, so he had like that influence, that charismatic, you know, feel to him. So it was like, we think that's the best fit for you. And so I was like, all right. So I called Sark I think I called him the next day and said, I'm committing to UW. I didn't go on no other offers. I didn't go on no other trips, nowhere else. I just came up here. And I remember getting off the plane, man, and I was like, what is that smell? Like, what is going on? And I remember they was like, oh, that's fresh air. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, dang, what you mean? I'm like, I'm in Oakland. The air ain't bad in Oakland. They was like, yeah, no, it's the smog in Cali. And I'm like, oh, okay, fresh air. And so then we're driving down 5, and my biggest thing was I didn't want to go to a college town. Like, I was like, I don't want to get stuck in a college town, and that's the only thing I got to do. I'm from Oakland. I'm from the city. I want to go somewhere that city is close. So when I'm coming down 5 and I see downtown Seattle, I was like, oh yeah, we can get with this.
Yeah, right.
we can do this. We can do this.
I love that, bro. For anybody who's never been to Washington State, man, the air out here is amazing, man. We were just talking about it before the show.
Yeah.
Wear your mask though. Make sure you wear your mask. You know what I'm saying? But
right.
when you can, pull it off, get some air, man. It's out here.
Facts. If nobody walking around, you just take it off real quick.
Yeah, man. No, that's dope though, man. And I think and shout out to UW for just, you know, giving you that opportunity.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, like, you don't just go from the collegiate level to the NFL level, right? But you obviously put in a lot of work while you were at UW. Is there like a moment, because you said like you knew the NFL was real when you saw Jermaine and kind of his evolution and whatnot. But like, what was kind of for you your moment while you were at UW where you felt like, okay, I am ready. I am that guy currently who can go to that level. Like, please don't say it was the Apple Cup. You know, we're Cougs in here, so I'm just saying, hopefully it's a different moment. But yeah, go ahead, tell us what that was like.
I definitely have a few of those stories.
Yeah. I had to bring it up.
I think the moment for me was I'd say in spring ball going into my junior year. I'd say in spring ball, that was when like it really just like clicked for me. I don't know what it was that clicked, but I think it was just like a level of confidence that I was able to play with. You know, it was just like I trained my butt off. I was training every day. If we had weight room sessions or whatever, I would do that. If we had routes or whatever, I would do that. I would go meet with this lady. She was a trainer out in Roseville. Her name was Andrea Chang, and she taught me how to use kettlebells. She taught me like the holistic part of my body that I didn't necessarily use when I was training at UW. And so I was able to tap into that. And so, man, when you know, when it was time to go again, it was just like, oh, it's go time.
Yeah.
Like, and everybody around me could see it. Like, the coaches could see it. My teammates could see it.
Yeah.
It was just like, I was just locked in.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just
that
like,
focus.
It's that locked in, is that focus. You know, it's just like, I trained my butt off. So that way, by the time I got to, you know, spring practice, it's like, I've been waiting.
Yeah.
Like, everybody else is like, oh, I'm nervous. I don't know what's going on. I was like, listen, I'm going in carefree. I'm about to just go in here and just do me. And whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, because you know the work you put in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The work you can never cheat the grind. Like
you cannot cheat the grind.
You just know, like, it's like, I just remember Kobe said something when he first came into the league as a rookie, even though he didn't play for a few years, he just realized, like, these guys don't work hard. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And I think that's the separation right there. It's like,
yeah.
You got to go overtime.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So that's dope, man. That's dope.
Yeah.
Now, you know, getting to the league, man, is a big step, right?
Yeah.
From a physical standpoint, obviously, but like personally, your journey to get to, you know, the NFL, and kind of entering, what was that transition like? Because, you know, we were talking about it, like going undrafted, right? Like that's a side and a journey that I feel like a lot of people don't know, like, is possible.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what was that like for you? Like, what was that transition?
Yeah, man. So we had got done with our last game. I think we had lost our bowl game to Oklahoma State, and I was like, okay, I had my agent. I had already figured out who my agent was going to be. I figured out where I was going to train at, and I just was like, listen, man, we just going to go balls to the wall and just give it everything we got and see what can happen. Like, that's legit where I was at. I was like, I'm going to give it everything I got to train, to get ready for this pro day, to show what I can do in front of these NFL scouts. And if it don't work out, then I'll just I'll just use my network, get a regular job. But I went in there with the mentality that I wasn't going to leave no stone unturned. And I was just going to go as hard as I could. And when it was time for pro day, I excelled. You know, I exceeded a lot of people's expectations. It was almost like it was one of those things where I went away and nobody saw me for months on end, and I just came back and was like, who's this guy? That's legit what it was. Like, it was like I just came in, I was just like, I was a totally different person, like mentally and everything like that. And then man, I did the pro day, killed it, and then I went back and I did because I'm from Oakland, so what they do is wherever you're from, if they have a local NFL team there, you get to do a local day. And so I went and did the local day for the Raiders. They liked me, but they had just drafted Amari Cooper the year before, so they was like, he was their guy. You know, they had a few different veteran guys.
Got you.
And they would probably, I think they may have drafted one receiver in the late round, so that wasn't really like where I was thinking I was going to go.
Yeah.
So then I went to the 49ers facility and did their local day, and I showed out. And so after that, it was just like a waiting period. Like, you don't know nothing. It was like legit like a month long. It was like a month-long time span where it was just like, I don't know if I'm going to get picked up or not.
Yeah.
But I
How do you stay
ready.
Focused during that time?
Man,
I could only imagine.
Yeah, you did everything that's in your control, but now you're just like.
Now you just got to just wait and just put your future in somebody else's hands. And I would say, man, like, I honestly, what I did was I was just like, I'm gonna just stay positive. I'm gonna just stay positive. I've done everything I possibly can do until this point, so there's no reason that I should have any regret. Regardless of the outcome.
Facts.
And I think that me having that mentality then helped me so many times later on in life. You know what I'm saying? Where I've been presented so many different obstacles and situations where it was completely out of my control. I'd done everything I could do. Now it's just one of those times where it's just like, hey, now you just got to just see what happens. Yeah. And so, and I had the support of my family, my friends, and it was just like, I'm going to get through this regardless of what happens. I never let, the failure defined if I was gonna be successful. It just meant for me that I would just find a different lane. And so I ended up being content, man, with whatever was gonna happen. I went back home for the actual draft, and the cool thing about it is my grandfather is a diehard 49ers fan.
Wow.
My grandfather, diehard 49ers fan. My family's kind of split. You know what I'm saying? 49ers, Raiders.
Yeah. I heard about that one.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
It's real.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
But so my grandfather's been a lifelong 49ers fan as long as I can remember. And so I watched the draft at his house, and I was in his room in his chair when the 49ers called me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a moment.
Yeah,
it's like a movie.
That's
bro.
crazy.
Yeah, man. So I was sitting in the room, like my family was downstairs. I was sitting in the room, and I was like, I just want to be by myself, because I was just like, it was at that moment. It was like I've been waiting for a month to find out what's gonna happen. I don't know if somebody's gonna call me or if I'm gonna just be sitting here waiting by the phone for the next 2 to 3 hours. Nobody call, and they come upstairs, see me crying or whatever it is. You know, and so it was just like I just want to take in this moment by myself, and if this is gonna be a life-changing moment, I'm taking it in. If it's gonna be for the better, and I get the call, cool. If I don't, it's like, all right, now we gotta figure it out. What we gonna do? And so they ended up calling me, man, and they was like, I don't know if we're gonna take you with this last pick, because the draft was almost ended. It hadn't ended yet. They were like, I don't know if we're gonna take you with this last pick or not, but we definitely want to bring you in as a undrafted rookie. And so I called my agent. And I was like, hey, 49ers called. He said we had them circled on the board already as one of the teams you were going to go to. And so I was like, okay. So then he called them. They got the contract set up. And bam, it was just I was a 49er after that.
Damn.
So, it was crazy. It was crazy, man, because I was literally back home. So it was just like all the process of getting to this point from high school, never playing tackle football.
The lineman cleats.
The lineman cleats.
I forget about those.
The lineman cleats, man. It was just all of that, all of the stuff that happened to that point in time, man, was just like in that moment, it all made sense. Yeah.
And that's a lesson too, right? Like it's always bigger than the game.
Exactly.
It's always bigger than the game. When you especially when you reflect, you look at it like, damn.
Yeah.
I really thugged it out and learned a lot about myself. In that time, but yeah, man, and it's interesting because the reason I say it's bigger than the game is because like not everybody gets to have that experience.
Right.
Bro, everybody I'm sure in this room at one point thought they was gonna go to the league, right? I'm sure. Right?
Yeah. Sure.
And whatever league that is, right?
Right.
And it's like so like it's something to celebrate no matter what, you know what I mean? So yeah, no, that's an amazing like story, but
and even playing for like a team close to home,
right?
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
right, man. Yeah. I mean, and that was another huge thing for me too, because me and Marshawn Lynch, we went to the same high school, so Marshawn is pretty much he's family. Like that's like one of my brothers, and so one of my big brothers, and so when I was in high school, he would come back and have his Marshawn Lynch camps, and so that was one way. That's actually where I got those lineman cleats from, because he had sponsorship with Nike. I didn't have no cleats at the time, so I came to the camp with no cleats. So he had some cleats that Nike had given, was given to the youth or whatever, and those were my first pair of cleats. And so, seeing him, seeing where he was at was like, okay, I could do that.
Yeah.
And that's why, I'm big on it now. Representation matters. You don't never know, like you legit never know what way you're inspiring somebody by what you're doing.
Man. Yeah,
like you
never
legit,
know. You never know who's watching.
You never know. You never know who's watching, man. Like I honestly believe, like by him coming back, giving back to community, being a pillar in the community. When I got to when I signed with the 49ers, that also gave me, a sense of pride. It's like I'm from Oakland. I'm close to home. Hometown kid. Now I can inspire the youth that come from literally the same environment I came from. So it's not just it may have been different if I went to the Seahawks. Which actually I could have went to the Seahawks. They probably I think they called me like 20-30 minutes after I signed with the Niners and was like, hey man, you got picked up? I was like, yeah, I'm with the Niners. They was like, man, we wish you the best.
He said you with the ops.
Yeah.
I mean at that time. It was real.
I was like,
it was real.
Y'all missed out. But it was just like, I had that sense of pride because it's like now I can legit go back home and it's just like, hey, they see me They're like, oh, that's DiAndre Campbell, so. You know, he went to Oakland Tech, hey. And I could just talk to a kid and he'd be like, wow, you talk to him. I'm like, listen, man, like, I'm not nobody, like, crazy special to where you should put me on a pedestal. Like, I literally came from the same situation you came from, and I just worked my butt off, and, you know, it worked for me. You know, and you can do it too. You know, so, representation matters, man.
It makes it more real.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not to say you want to do just what they do exactly like how they did it, but at the same time, you got to see it. You got to see it to believe it. You got to see other people do it. And I'm always curious, especially when it comes to like, I remember we had Cliff Averill on this show. I asked him this question too because I think it's interesting to know, like, what is something I guess you would tell your rookie year self that you wish you would have known at that time. And maybe for other aspiring athletes who may be coming into that same transition from collegiate to the NFL, like, what are some things you wish you would have known or that they should know about?
Man, I would say just be professional. You know, that takes you such a long way. Outside of the game, like, I think that's helped me. It helped me while I was playing, but it also helped me after I was done playing, man. Like, you know, come to work every day, you know, with the chip on your shoulder, ready to work, you know, because the thing about it is a lot of people don't realize this, you know, is you can literally be doing the best you can, like balling out at practice, and by the end of that day, you can be cut.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, you know, if you maintain a professional posture about yourself, you know, a lot of these coaches and front office people, they go to different organizations all the time. So if they have something to speak highly of you about from their past organization or the past team that they was with, they can help get you on with that other team.
Yeah.
And so it was
That's
just
real.
like, you know, being professional, man. And you know, one person that I think that, you know, really, it was a couple people actually that I saw that were professional and played the game at a really high level were some of the best players on the team. Like, I remember Anquan Bolden.
Yeah.
Man, like, it was so cool, like, to be on, like, to be on the same team, like, literally, like, a couple lockers down from Anquan Bolden. You know, and one thing about Q is I watch Q every day. Like, I watched Q every day. Every day, he got out there early before anybody else was out there. He did the same stretch routine. When he came in the morning, he put on his 49ers sweatsuit. He would go in the sauna. He would go in the cold tub. And he would come to meetings every day. Same thing. Routine. And so I remember I got out there early one day. I got out there just to ask him the question. Like, I was low-key nervous. I was rookie. I was like, man, I'm low-key nervous. Because Q had, like this demeanor. Like, he was real chill, stoic. You know, but at the same time, he showed love. So it was like, I don't know what he gonna say. Like, he may think I'm I'm weird or something.
You don't want to throw someone off their routine, especially if you've been watching it for so long.
I was like,
Should I do it now?
I was like, I don't want him to think I'm weird or something. So I asked him, man. Like, I had that same curiosity that you had. I said, hey, Q, man, like, what's some advice that you could give me as a rookie to help me? You know. And so he said, figure out a routine and stick to it. And I was like, okay. He was like, once you get in a routine that gets you in your optimal position to be, to put yourself in the optimal position to excel, find out whatever that routine is and don't sway away from it. Like, keep it going.
That's real.
And because like I said, I got his routine down.
That's real.
Right? But he did some trial and error to get to that routine.
Yeah.
You know,
took some time to get there.
It took him some time to get there, but he got there, and once he got there, like, he was able to put himself in a position physically and mentally to be able to play longer than he may have been, you know, going to play in the first place.
That could be that could always be the difference maker.
Because when you get that routine, you know your body, you know your mind, you know how you react, how you don't react to certain things, and you know what puts you in the best place to be successful.
And I think that also helps when you may relocate to different teams. If you got your routine,
it don't matter.
It don't matter where you're at.
You off.
That makes sense. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, man. So
I like that one. That's a gem.
Yeah, man.
No, that's a gem.
Get your routine. Whatever.
I also wanted to ask, so, like, you know, us watching sports, we watch the game, we watch the NFL. I feel like the NFL did take kind of a shift, the climate, you know, during the moment when, you know, Colin Kaepernick took a stand, you know, or not a stand, but you know, decided to kneel and advocate, you know, for police brutality. And I just feel like the league changed, but not just the NFL. You could see the sports world change, right? In a way, like, fans looked at athletes and, like, really saw them for more the human side and really try to understand. So was that happening while you were there at all? Did that situation?
Yeah, man. So that actually happened my second year.
Okay.
So that actually happened my second year, beginning of my second year, man. And nobody, honestly, man, like nobody really even paid attention to the fact that during the national anthem, Cap was sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
Like that was not even a thing, man. Like it was just like, oh, okay, like
cool.
you know, it's national anthem, sitting down, like oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then the interview came out and he spoke out about it. I was like, okay, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and then one thing that I think was really big is like, you know, you saying like the NFL changed.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it put everybody in a position, regardless of whether it was in the NFL or you were a fan, like you had to check yourself, ask yourself if is what he really saying really the message that's getting across, or are they trying to dilute his message? And what I used to tell people all the time is, you know, when it comes to stuff like this, don't pay attention to the method, pay attention to the message. You know, Cap didn't do it in a disrespectful way, but still somehow, some way they found a reason to say that he was disrespectful to the flag.
Yeah.
And the other thing, you know, he's disrespectful to military. When he actually ended up sitting down and talking to, you know, a former military member who was in the NFL. He actually played for the Seahawks at one point in time. And he told him to take the knee. So it's like, okay, he sat down there first because that was disrespectful, okay. But now he's taking a knee, but somehow he's still being disrespectful.
It's the context.
You know what I'm saying?
Context is always left out.
Exactly. So people pick and choose what they want to focus on. You know, like has much really changed since Cap's taking a knee? Has the NFL apologized?
Nah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
that's
you think about those moments when you're in them, you know, and the decision that you're gonna decide to make on them, but you don't understand the effects later on. You know, like Cap, like
that's real.
That's real. He was strong in what he meant what he said. Like he stood on his principles. It lost him millions of dollars. It lost him millions of dollars, but he also put himself in a position to where he brought awareness around the world. To a cause that we're still fighting today. Like literally, we just
exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. I don't even have to say it, right? You know,
and he's contributing, right? Like I think sometimes, like you said, people like they focus too much on the method, right? And it's like you don't really know. Like he probably didn't even know what would come from that. He was just being his authentic self and saying, "Hey, man, you know, I didn't have a team meeting with everybody and say, hey, let's all do this." He's like, "I'm just gonna do this for myself."
Right.
And for those that I'm trying to advocate for. And that's the beauty of it sometimes. It's like, yo, just be yourself. Be you. Stay true. Like, you know, stand up for what you believe in, and you just might spark something, right?
Right.
And I feel like that's what happens. When I say the climate shift, I felt like, you know, people starting to, like, really look at the athletes more as, like, you know, humans. Like, you know, some of us already do, but for the, you know, there's there's fans who only see the players as players.
Right.
As numbers and stuff. So I think, man, that was just a powerful moment. And you know, for you to be there, like, I was always curious, like, what that locker room environment was like, or was it just like?
So it was one of those situations, man, where it's like you have a job to do. You got a job to do, and regardless of what you believe or how you feel, you go do the job. Now, do I believe that it could have, like, you know, that it has created some friction as far as what people's ideology is and what they believe outside of the locker room? For sure I do. And you know, 49ers definitely made, you know, created a space for us to have those conversations. And tough. it was tough conversations, you know, but it was at the end of the day, we still had a job to do. You know, so you still had to show up, you still had to perform at a high level because you still got to provide for your family. So as you know, as much, you know, chaos as it caused around the country, you know, they were able to do the best that they could to mitigate it within the team and still try to go out there and win games.
But it's a necessary conversation too.
I think for sure.
I think that's the part where people kind of, like you said, like that they dilute it by making it like they make it so chaotic. But it's like, yo, he's talking about something that actually is happening. Right. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
And it's like the whole world's watching. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, what's going on with the NFL, the players, how they responding, you know what I mean? Man. And, you know, one thing is I believe, like, people, if it doesn't affect people, they don't pay attention to it. You know, like, that's why it was so easy for fans to say, you know, stick to playing football, you know,
don't make it political. And they, fans still say that today. Like, I literally was on Instagram I was on Instagram earlier. I don't remember what the post was, but it was something that the NFL had came out and said something about George Floyd. And if you just looked on the comments, the comments that fans were making, man, I'm just like, you're so far removed from the reality of other people that you just don't. It's either you don't want to try to connect or relate, or you just oblivious. Now, I don't feel like people are really oblivious. They just don't want to understand. They're not trying to relate. Because like I said, their reality isn't affected by what's happening to people like us. So it's just like I can try to. I can choose. They have the choice. They have the choice to try to understand or not. We don't have the choice. We live this every day. We can't just take this skin off and go do something else. Exactly. Like, they got the choice. And so they exercise. Some people exercise their right to understand and empathize and advocate. Other people don't. And that's real. It's the reality of it.
I think it filtered out, it made a clear-cut difference between fans, like real fans, and spectators. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it showed you, like, oh, these people are just spectating us for what we do and entertain.
Exactly.
And then these people are really fans of us as people,
right?
Not just as athletes. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes, like you said, that friction is needed to kind of like get the clutter out.
Yeah.
So like, okay, who's real?
Yeah.
Who's really about this? Who really cares? Because we obviously want the game. We care about the game, but it's real.
Right.
So, I just wanted to kind of touch on it because I think it just shows a side of the athlete's experience and journey where it's not just about the X's and O's in the game. Right. You feel me? Like, there's a lot of lessons that can be learned through it, and it's historical too. You know what I mean? So,
because like a lot of times people get so caught up, they get so caught up in the idea that professional athletes aren't human beings. Because you place them on a pedestal, you buy their jerseys. You support them by going to the games. You want their autograph, everything like that. But they're still human. They still got feelings. They still got a livelihood. They still have to put themselves in a position to create a life for themselves outside of the game. And then when the game is over and they take off that jersey and the helmet for the last time. So it's like, we can't turn it off. Like, it's part of who we are. It's the reality that, whether I'm in the NFL or not, let's just say I am in the NFL. My cousin that's not in the NFL could get pulled over.
Yeah.
And he may have gotten pulled over, and he may have gotten, he may have experienced police brutality.
Yeah.
That's not something that I can just, shy away from, like it didn't happen, and I got to go to work.
Yeah.
I got to play in the NFL. Like, that's part of my reality on top of I got to do my job.
Exactly.
So it's like, and then, like, Cap bringing awareness to it. It's talked about around the country. It's so many different conversations that are had. It's like, okay, I have to have this conversation. This is a part of my reality. And like I was saying earlier, if they can't relate, they choose not to. I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I don't have a choice. I still feel uncomfortable when a police car pulls up behind me.
Always.
I asked somebody. I was like, hey, why is it that if you in a car full of people and y'all having a full-on conversation, and as soon as a police car drives by, everybody gets quiet?
Yeah.
Like, why is that?
Man.
I couldn't even explain it.
Yeah. Bro, it's really PTSD. It's kind of crazy. Like, you catch yourself sometimes. Like, am I tripping? Like,
right. I know.
I ain't doing nothing wrong.
Right. Turning music down. Everybody get quiet.
Everybody taking their hat off. All types of shit, bro. Like,
I'm in the car. Why is this?
Try to be, because I think it's like learned behavior. It's kind of like, this happened literally. I think yesterday I had my hood on, and I think I see it, even if he ain't behind me, I just see him coming. Like, take my hood off, and it's like. Wait, why did I just do that?
Yeah.
But, you get to that point where it's like, we get to a point where we're forced to, like, not be prideful, but just be smart.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right.
Pride in me was like, the hell?
Yeah.
Put my hood back on. But it's like, you know what? Go ahead. You can have this one.
Yeah. I mean.
And it's something as small as that, but it compiles, you know what I mean? So, but the conversation is super important. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, having conversations opens it up. Like you said, it brought awareness. And that was 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like you said, things haven't changed much, but I think the more that people are bringing it to the forefront, it's important conversations, and man. shout out to him for that and for the work he's doing, man. He's doing amazing work, and it's inspiring everybody here.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep grinding with that, man. But now, man, I know there's you've had plenty of transitions in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to go from after playing football professionally into wanting to kind of go into I would say the entrepreneurship journey technically, but more so the paying it forward and kind of taking your experience and giving it back. Like you said, what was that kind of starting the Warrior Academy and getting into that? Like, what was that like out the gate to go from my routine to all right, I got to build a new routine.
Yeah,
what
man.
Was that like?
So that transition, man, was probably one of the hardest transitions of my life. You know, and I tell people this all the time, man. Like, I feel like at one point in time during that transition, I experienced depression. You know, because for me, it's just like, for me at the time, my life was football. You know, I had the structure. I woke up in the morning, would eat, go practice, meetings, workout, whatever. And it was all devoted, whether it was in the in season or the off season, it was devoted to football. You know, and that was from college. That was from college all the way. You know, once I got that newspaper article in high school, from then on, what was that? that was probably 2008. So from 2008 to 2017, 18 was football. You know, it's like, think about it. Like, if you have a conversation with somebody, the first thing people will say is they say their name, right? And then they ask you, what do you do?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
First thing out of my mouth is play football.
Yeah.
But I don't play football anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't say that.
Yeah.
So who am I outside of this? You know, and I had to soul search. You know, I had to soul search, man. I had to ask myself the question often, like, who are you? You know, for me, it was more so of, I was a football player, but I wasn't a football player. I didn't think about it like that. Football was just what I did. I had meshed it with what I did and who I was. And so now that wasn't there anymore, I had to figure out who I was. And it was just like, you know, the football training helped me with that. You know, it helped me, you know, go through that. It helped me figure that stuff out. You know, it helped me figure out that I can still have influence when I'm done playing. You know, it helped me figure out if I wanted to work at a regular job or if I wanted to, you know, explore entrepreneurship. And yeah, man, it was rough. I can't even, like, there's no way to get around it, man. It was just like, you know, because I was still trying to play. I wasn't getting those calls. I did want to give up, but I did want to give up, and it was just like an up and down roller coaster on a regular basis.
It's a challenge, though.
It was a challenge, man.
But I feel like, you know, you that's kind of where you thrive too.
Exactly.
Right? Because you said some things transfer over from competing and playing sports and playing football, where you're being challenged every day. You pull up on that field, there's a challenge in front of you.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes we have subtle, like, intangible things that, like, will always get us through no matter what.
Yeah.
We may not know it in the moment because, you know, shit be hard. Shit be rough in the moment. You're like, man, what am I about to do?
Yeah.
But
I be really thinking about that all the time, bro. Like, I be like, when, like, because we only see the games, you know what I mean? It's like, you guys go through practice, you guys go through, like, recovery, travel time, like, all that. It's really like football's life, you know what I mean? So then, like, transitioning, I'd be like, man, I know it's hard, like, yeah, bro. It's just,
man.
It's crazy, bro.
I think for me, man, one thing that helped me is that my whole life I'd had people in my corner that told me that I was bigger than what I was more than an athlete. You know, they told me that that's just what I do. It's not who I am. But, you know, I feel like for me, I had a whole lot of encouragement for me to be the best version of myself, and that was outside of the sport. You know. And I feel like I was blessed and fortunate enough to have that. But I knew so many guys in college, coming out of college, to go to the NFL, and then NFL trying to transition it into life after, that didn't have that.
Yeah.
You know, that struggled with me like I did with the identity crisis without the support. You know, because I think about it holistically, right? Like, a lot of these guys that play in the NFL, they've been told, you know, they've been training for the NFL their whole life.
Yeah.
I started in high school. They've been training literally their whole life. The community around them that's supporting them, their family, is like, oh, you're going to the league. You know, you're going to the league.
It's identity. They
don't say nothing about, hey, what do you actually like to do? You know, what do you like to do on a day-to-day basis? What are your hobbies? What is your interest? You know, if all else fails and, you know, you get hurt and you can't play anymore, what are you going to do? I had people ask me those questions. So even though I was going through it, I still had that support, but I still had that, that process. A lot of people don't have that.
That's that's real.
The struggle, to find your identity outside, it's not just from the fact that you played, but the community around you and what they speak to you, what they speak to power, truth to power about. If you tell me that I'm more than an athlete, even though I may not want to hear it, I still heard it. So subconsciously, it's in my mind.
The subconscious brain is so powerful. It really is.
Yeah, man.
And that's interesting because what I'm getting from that is like it's 2021, right? And the more than an athlete kind of image and whatnot is becoming more and more normalized, right? And you think obviously the exposure of the internet, social media, letting you see the lives of these athletes and what they do, business and other ventures and whatnot. Because growing up, I mean, it was like all we saw athletes as was athletes, right? So, and it's not our fault. That's all we were able to see. And I think what's dope now is like I feel like if you're not doing more outside of the sport, you're kind of like, what's up, bro?
You boxing yourself.
Like you ever think about that sometimes? Like LeBron's making it tough on a lot of people, but not in a bad way, in a good way. He's like, yo, look what I'm doing outside of basketball. I'm not just doing this, and then it trickles down. Yeah. You know what I mean? You got all these players, you got all these athletes who are like now, like, man, you know what? I'm gonna be nice at this, but I gotta have some other stuff going on.
Yeah. Right.
And that's the impact. Sometimes you don't know when, but eventually it just starts to trickle, and it's a domino effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I think
it's dope.
Shoot, even for like LeBron is definitely like been like a catalyst and like doing like putting that out there for the world to see more of, and I think that's also kind of like who LeBron is. Now, the only reason I say that, now granted, I mean, I respect LeBron. Yeah. I don't think LeBron is the best player to ever play the game. Yeah. I don't even want to get into that.
I stay away from those ones.
I don't even. That's
never end.
Right. That's it never ends.
Episode.
Right.
I just say he's a goat.
Yeah. But I think about like hearing the story about when LeBron had the opportunity to. I think he had the opportunity to sign with Under Armour out of high school. Yeah. And it was I think it was Under Armour or Adidas. I don't remember.
I think it was Under Armour.
I think it was
Under Armour. Okay. It was Under Armour. They was offering millions of dollars out of high school, and he was like, "I'm not gonna take that." I'm like, "Wait, what? Yeah, you're not gonna take that?" So it's either he had the fortitude not to take it, or he had somebody in his corner that was that was telling him not to take it. So I'm not surprised with the work that LeBron is doing off the court. Yeah. Because he's always had that in the back of his mind, like this is the vision that I want to create, and now he's just out here creating it, and it's just like he's playing at such a high level that there's no way you can ignore it. Yeah. I feel like if it was like maybe a lower level player, he was doing it, he wouldn't get that much exposure and attention for it to influence enough people. But because it's LeBron, it's like you can't ignore it.
And I think the athletes, it's like a brotherhood, and a sisterhood as well. It's like where sometimes the work he's doing may not just be for the regular guy like me. Like he knows I'm an athlete, other athletes are going to watch me, so I got to show them how I do it. You know what I mean? Right. And so I say that to say, so what you're doing with Warrior Academy when you started it, like, as you were building it out, was there people who kind of helped you kind of craft it and shape it from a business standpoint? Because obviously you obviously know the game and you know how to train and develop. What was that like as far as like learning how to bring people on board? Because in the league it's kind of like you have your trainers and then it's me. I got to put in the work. But did you kind of learn how to delegate tasks to other people, or are you still figuring that out, or how does that work?
Nah, man. So it's just been me.
Okay.
Like it's been me. So when I first started doing Warrior Academy, it was Warrior Wide Receiver Academy, and one of the guys that I was training with at the time, he had initially started it, and so when he started it, I think he did it for like 3 or 4 months, and so we were training, and he was like, "Hey, would you be interested in training kids?" And I was like. He's like making some money. We was in the off season. This is another thing that people don't know is that in the NFL you make money week 1 through 17. After that, you get no more money for the rest of the year. So until you come back, you're not. So whatever you make, you got to make that last. So I didn't have no money coming in. It was just I was just chilling, just withdrawing. I'm like, I'm sick of withdrawing. I got to do something. So I just started. So I went out there with him for a session. And I saw him do his thing or whatever, and then after that, he went off to go to OTAs with the Jets. And so it was like, hey, you can pretty much go ahead and just do it. So it was like, all right. So what I did was I just started reaching out to kids on Twitter and social media. Like I just started reaching out, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm trying to do. If you're interested, reach out to me. And I would do that religiously. I would reach out to probably like 30 or 40 kids a day.
Damn. Got to.
Reach out to like 30 or 40 kids a day. They would give me their parents' contact, talk to their parents. Parents would be like, oh, okay, I'm interested. Yeah, let's do this. And it wouldn't happen. So I heard a lot of no's. Like I heard a lot of no's.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point to where we no longer were in it together, and I just took over. I just did the business on my own, and I've been doing it on my own since. You know, it's like now I do want to get to that point that you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, to delegate.
Of course.
You know, to have like, you know, and that, I think that's the point where I'm at, where I'm getting close to. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
But I'm getting close to the point to where I'm in a position to where I can delegate. I can teach somebody else what they need to do, and this can become a empire.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be a one man show. Like it could be a team, and we can all eat.
But you're learning and you're growing and you're building, and I think that's the part people don't understand. Like that's I was talking with the homie. Like it's constant.
Yeah.
No matter what. Yeah. It's always constant elevation and growth, and I just love to see that transition. It's not easy, like you said.
Nah.
It's not easy, but once you find that groove, you're back in the you know. it's like you're back to square one. Like that mentality. So I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
So that's dope.
What's like some of your most fulfilling like parts of Warrior Academy? Like
man, I would say the most fulfilling part outside of seeing kids get scholarships and stuff like that, get, you know, all accolades for, you know, for first team all league awards and team captain awards.
You getting them right.
You know,
I see.
All that
I
type
see.
yeah. All that type of stuff, man, is I think the most fulfilling part to me is to watch them go through the process. Like no matter where they are when we start, to see them go through that process and to see them build confidence in themselves and their abilities from going through it. And one thing that I'm big on is I tell them, you know, early on is like, hey, you may not understand everything that I have you doing, but just trust the process.
Yeah.
You know, like it may not make sense. Like I may have you doing this and this may seem stupid to you.
Yeah.
But just keep going, getting better at this. Then I'll bring something else in that'll make it come full circle to where now you're like, oh, that's why you had me. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what I said. Like that's why I had you doing that. Oh, exactly.
Clicked.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, to see them like go through the process and reap the benefits of the process and them trusting it. I think that's the most beneficial to me, man, is because one thing that I understood and I appreciate most about what I do is that I came from the understanding of my value when I got done playing. You know, I understood that as a former either collegiate or professional athlete, companies would flock to, you know, us. You know, whether it's whether you're an athlete or, you know, you're in the military, because they understand you have these intangibles that, you know, everybody doesn't have. You know, you know how to work well in teams. You know how to be punctual. You know how to overcome adversity. You know how to compete at a high level. Like these are things that all these companies want. And so I was like, listen, if I understand this, if I can talk to a kid that's in middle school or high school to get him to understand going through a process to see results, if he can do that, then he can just keep on doing this and copy and pasting this same process in whatever he's doing in his life. You know, so it's bigger than the game. You know, like it's about life impact. You know, and I'm like, you know, I have kids that haven't trained with me in a long time. You know, that parents still check in with me, see how I'm doing, because they understand that I'm in their kid's life forever. You know, I tell the parents and kids, you know, like I'm not necessarily worried about having a whole lot of kids that I train. You know, that's not my focus. My focus is quality over quantity. You know, I know that when you're done training with me, no matter how many sessions you train with me, you're going to be better after. Like regardless, like if you train with me one time or you keep training with me years on years, you'll be overall better just because of that time we spent together.
That
so
value.
It's the process for me, man. Like it keeps me going.
Yeah, man, I feel you. It's like what you said earlier, how you're saying that parent was saying like my kid got better in school, got better around the house. You know what I mean? Like they applied it everywhere in their life, man. That's dope. You know what I mean?
Man. Like it's so many, like man, there's so many different like life lessons. You know and one thing that I do is I incorporate life lessons in my trainings. So that way it's hey, you didn't do this. This is why it didn't work.
Yeah.
Think about if you do the same thing in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you do it this way, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Right. So change your way of thinking. That way you're able to strategically set up a plan of execution on the football field, but also in whatever it is that you're doing. I ask a kid, I'll be like, hey, do you love football? And they'll say, yeah. And I'll say, okay, who's your favorite? Let's just say I'm training a receiver. I'll say, who's your favorite receiver? And they say, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, do you want to go to the NFL? And they were like, yeah. I'm like, okay, who do you watch in the NFL? They were like, I don't really watch in the NFL. And I'm like, okay.
What?
All right. Okay. I said, okay. I said, okay.
Yeah.
I said, okay. So let me ask you a question. You got a girlfriend? They'd be like, yeah, I got a girlfriend. I'm like, okay. What's her name? Whatever her name is, Tanya, whatever it is. Okay. What's her eye color? Bam. They tell me. What's her hair color? Bam. They tell me. What makes her laugh? They tell me. Right. What's her favorite physical attribute? They tell me. Right. Do you love her? Yeah, I do. Okay. So you see how you were able to explain to me everything about this girl that you love, but I asked you if you love football. You said yeah, and you can't explain none of it.
Yeah.
That don't add up.
Yeah.
So it's like you trying to tell me that you want to get somewhere, you want to get to a certain level.
Yeah.
But you don't know nothing about that level.
Yeah.
How did that make sense?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
You know, so it's just like
and they gotta hear it.
Exactly.
They gotta hear that.
Exactly. So it's just like different ways that I'm able to like strategically open up their minds to think bigger and to think more strategically than they've been thinking.
No, that's real, man. That's real impact too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
for real.
Yeah, and I just look back because, you know, like you said, you know, the representation is big because at that age, man, growing up in your teen years, man, like sometimes you need to hear it from someone else. Right? You know, parents, like, please, can you talk to so-and-so because he's not listening to me. Okay, well, DeAndre will tell him, you know, and so that's important though, and it's about what you tell him, right, and not overstepping, and you probably understand that, not overstepping, like I'm not your daddy, but you know, I'm gonna so I'm gonna tell you some stuff that you need to know.
Yeah, so I actually have had like a few instances where, you know, it was a scheduled training session, and you know, the kid gets out the car, they about to go warm up or whatever, and the parents are like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And I'm like, yeah. You're like, you know, he's having issues with so and so and so and so. Can you talk to him? And I'm like, yeah, I'll talk to him. But don't let him know we had this conversation. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, cool. Okay, we can do that. Now, granted, that doesn't happen often. You know, where they like, don't let him know. But they'd be like, hey, can you just talk to him or whatever? I'm like, yeah. So sometimes what I'll do is they'll be stretching or whatever. Like, all right, what we got next? I'll be like, we ain't got nothing. We're going to sit here, we're going to talk for a second. Yeah. Like, we need to hash out whatever it is that you got going on so that way we can come to a resolution and we can figure out the solution so this don't happen no more. Yeah. Because it's just one of those, it's those times that I feel like are crucial to their growth and development. And not just playing sports, but overall. As people, as people. Overall, you know, like the way that you're thinking, the way that you're moving isn't going to get you the results that you want. And that's the reality. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, you know, sometimes parents, they don't feel like they can be as real and harsh. And it's like, oh, okay, that's fine. I got you. I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. That's what you want me to do.
I've been waiting for this moment. I had people tell me stuff, all types of stuff when I was growing up.
Right. Listen, I've been waiting to use my Denzel Series training day. Persona real quick and talk to your son.
Nah, I feel you. That's real. That's real.
You know, sometimes they just need that. They need that kind of conversation because it also can enhance their performance. Yeah. You know, because it's like, dang, he taking his time to talk to me about this. Yeah. This ain't got nothing to do with football. Oh, he really cares.
Yeah, he showed up for me.
He showed up for me.
I got for him.
Yeah. Right. So it's like, it's building. It's the relationship, man. Like I remember one of my coaches in high school. He told me this, and at the time I didn't understand it, but I've come to understand it so many other times since then. He said life is all about relationships. And I was like, what? In my mind, I'm thinking relationships is boyfriend, girlfriend. I'm like, hold on, what you mean? He's like, nah, that's not what I'm talking about. He's talking about whatever relationship you have with somebody, it can help you. You know, it can propel your career, it can propel your life. You know, it can open you up to more opportunities and doors, save your life. You know what I'm saying? But it's about relationships and how you cultivate them that can ultimately dictate your life. And so ever since then, it's just like, ever since that light bulb clicked on, it's like, okay, let me create relationships with these kids, with these parents, so that way they understand that I'm not just in it just to be in it, just to be out here just training. Like, training is cool, but I'm more about impact than anything.
And that's the part. I'm glad you're sharing that and expressing that, because it's important for people who may want to go into this lane.
Yeah.
People think it's always about the skill set and the tangible things and the things I can provide and the value, which is part of it. Don't get it twisted. Like, you can't be training kids if they ain't gonna get no results.
Right.
But there's a side to it that, like, the human side, I would like to say.
Exactly.
That is equally important. So I'm glad you're sharing that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you, so we definitely want to kind of give you a chance to talk about some things you may got coming on the horizon or things you already got going on.
Yeah.
That you may want people to know about or get involved with. What you got?
Yeah, man. So
anything going on?
I mean, so I got the Warrior Academy is going. Guys just got out of their football season. Mm-hmm. It's been a weird, man. It's been it's been weird with football. Thing, right? COVID. It did a number as far as training and stuff like that. But I had a nice amount of guys that stay consistent, kept working, and they were able to see the results. Out in this football season. I think it was some guys only had like 4 or 5 games, so it was kind of like just to get your feet wet.
They need that, though.
They needed that, So now, spring ball's coming up, and the summertime is coming up. Things are starting to open back up,
Dope.
and so that's picking back up. So I'm doing things a little different as far as that goes to enhance the experience of the athletes and stuff like that. And I'm taking on a couple more.
Okay.
And then the other things that I'm doing, I do group training sessions. Okay. So group fitness training sessions. If they follow me on social media, you see like I got it's co-ed too. Okay. A lot of people don't know that. They think it's all women. I'm like, no, it's not all women.
So this isn't just for student athletes.
No, this isn't for
anybody.
This is for anybody.
He can pull up.
Yeah, anybody can pull up, man. And
you ain't pulling up.
The crazy thing about how that got started is it got started during the pandemic. I had a mom reach out to me because she had put on Facebook she wanted to do some training.
Okay.
And so then we connected and we scheduled the training session, but she brought like 4 or 5 other women. Mm-hmm. And so it was supposed to be like a one-on-one, ended up being a group training session. So I put them through a workout. After the workout was over, they were like, okay, like you kicked our butt, but we want to do this again. When can we do it again? I'm like, y'all do?
Okay.
I'm like, y'all do? They was like, yeah. So then it just grew into a movement, man, to where, we were getting it in at the field.
Yeah.
Limited. It wasn't in the gym or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was limited equipment, but they started seeing results, and they started telling their friends, and they started telling their friends.
Word of mouth.
It's been word of mouth, man. And it's been growing tremendously, man. Now that the sun is back out, it's gonna pick back up. Yeah. It's gonna pick back up, because summertime is around the corner. Everybody trying to get summer ready. Regardless of what the pandemic got planned. People right now is like, listen, the pandemic.
It's gonna be a crazy summer. It's gonna be a hot boy, hot girl summer collab or something.
Right. So it's like, listen, if they trying to get the hot boy, hot girl summer on, like pull up to the workouts, and just come get a good sweat in, because like I said, man, like. People are getting results that, it's surprising them. It's like that's changing their lives. You know what I'm saying? And so I got that going on. And then if people don't want to do the group training session because, they're worried about other people being around, I also do personal training too. Okay. So,
I love the options too.
Yeah, man, I've been doing that, and that's been really cool.
Yeah.
That's been really cool. That's actually been, as far as that goes, man, that's my personal training has been more focused on mothers. Mothers. It's either mothers or corporate working women or entrepreneurs.
Got you.
That want results.
Got you.
And so that's where more so I'm looking to work. Who I'm looking to work with, because I know them. I've seen their results. When I have clients coming up to me, after training for maybe a couple weeks. Before they were either pre-diabetic or pre-high blood pressure. After a couple weeks, they're coming back. Hey, I talked to my doctor. My weight is down. They're like, they're taking me off my medication, and I'm like, okay. I've had some clients that had problems walking up and down the stairs.
Yeah.
Now they walk up and down the stairs comfortably. They can walk through the supermarket comfortably.
Yeah.
I got back pain.
Yeah.
Their back pain. I'm like, okay, we can work on that.
We can figure that out.
We can figure that out.
What I'm saying? That's real.
I want to get back looking good for my man or my husband or summer's coming up. I know I'm about to be out
Whatever
here.
you need, I got
Whatever you need.
We're going to get you right.
We're going to get you right. You know what I'm saying?
So that's dope.
Yeah, man. Like, it's, that grew out of the pandemic.
That's a blessing,
like
man.
that, bro. Yeah. Like that's crazy to me. Like it grew out of the pandemic, and it's like it's another way that I'm able to impact and change lives, man. Yeah. So it's just like it literally went from me playing football to executing my passion on a different way, and I'm still having just as much impact, if not more.
And fun too.
And it's fun. Oh, yeah. I can tell. It's fun.
I can just tell.
It's fun, man.
Yeah.
We have fun, man. Like it's a great environment. Like create a great atmosphere. It's fun. You work, you sweat, but you have a great time doing it.
I love it.
It ain't like no drill sergeant
Major pain.
Strict, like right, like you gotta be right here, like at all times. Like nah, we out there. We gonna have fun. You gonna get a good sweat. You gonna have a good time doing it. So yeah, man. It's
I
cool.
love it, man. I'm looking. I mean. I might have to pull up.
Pull up, check it out.
Check it out.
I'm gonna do a couple pre-workworkouts before I go to your workout.
So that's
I gotta get ready.
So that's actually the other thing, man. Is like a lot of people hit me and be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make it to one of your workouts, man, but I just got to get back right before I come." And I'm like, "Well, listen, you don't have to get right before you come." My thing is, and my philosophy is the same with training.
Come as you are.
Like come as you are, man. Like for example, like I had, one of the ladies that's new to the group training, she had just had knee surgery, and so she was barely able to walk. She hadn't really been doing much walking because her knees was messed up. Now she be out there walking. Now she be out there, she's more active. Like she feels more nimble. She's walking around with more confidence, and it's like, she's appreciative of the work. So it's like, it doesn't matter where you're at. Yeah. Like there's adjustments that can be made. Yeah. It's just about going, because once you come,
you gotta get started.
You gotta get started. Yeah. You gotta get started. Once you come, you get in that environment. You feel the love. You feel like the electricity, as far as like that good vibe. Like let's go.
I feel that.
It's like it's contagious, man. And
I feel that.
It's just like it's an energy, And the cool thing about it is, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Like it's not all for me. Like a little bit is from me, but it's from everybody else that's coming. So that's what it's like. It's literally a community of people that just come and just get work in.
It's beautiful.
They bring their kids out.
It's beautiful,
like,
man.
It's cool, man. Like it's cool.
Yeah, that's dope. I love it, man. And I'm proud of you, man. Especially just for paving that way, man. Yeah. Like you said, you never know who's watching, man. And there's people watching. Watching anybody in here, but we all got people watching us. So man, that's dope, and I love hearing that. Can you tell them where they can pull up, like how they can reach out?
Yeah, man. So they can reach out. They can reach out through my website, www.DiAndreCampbell.biz.
Okay.
I actually just launched that website 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And yeah, man, it has everything that I got going on.
Okay.
Football training, personal training, group training.
Okay.
Merch coming soon.
Okay. We need that.
Ebooks coming soon, man.
Yes,
so I've been in my bag, working behind the scenes. Just keeping my head down and grinding, man. Like it's just like it's just like I said, man. The process, going through different processes in life, has helped me be strategic now.
It's all about the process.
It's all about, man. Like
it's all about the process. I tell people all the time, like there's moments and there's the process.
Like, exactly.
Moments come and go, right?
Exactly.
You make it to the league. That's a moment. Then process.
Yeah.
Then
exactly.
Boom, moment, process. So it's like you gotta enjoy the process more than anything.
Yeah. They can reach out to me on IG. My IG handle is @CampbellBoyDre.
Okay.
Don't be afraid. Like, hit me up. I'll talk to you. I ain't gonna just be like, I ain't gonna leave you on red. Nah, I ain't gonna do you like that. Because other people like, I can't hit him. He ain't gonna respond. No, I'll respond.
Yeah, reach out, man. Yeah, if they want that work, man.
Yeah, if you want the work, like, listen, I'm here to meet people's needs. Like you were saying, like, if you can find something that meets the needs of the people, they'll come.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm here.
Yeah.
So come on.
That's real. That's real.
Yeah.
That's real, man.
Yeah.
And I think we can close it with this. We normally or always ask our guests this question. So if you can, my brother, what would you say is one word to describe what keeps you on the up and up? And why?
Man, I would say one word that keeps me on the up and up. Man, I say God, man. I would say God keeps me on the up and up, man. I think that, my faith in God and understanding that my purpose is bigger than just me, and understanding that, I can tap into these stories in the Bible where they had odds stacked against them and they were able to find a way to not only get through it, but the way in which they got through it. You know, like they got through it, you know, even though it was rough, they still kept their composure. You know, they still stayed positive. You know, they still kept the faith. And it's like, you know, for me, it's like in entrepreneurship, there's no guarantees. You know, in training people, there's no guarantee that they're going to show up or, you know, that they're going to keep coming. So it's just like, you know, you got to have like that bigger sense of value, that bigger sense of purpose, you know, to keep me in the right frame of mind, you know, because I've been in situations where my mind wasn't right. And, you know, at that point in time, you know, the only thing I could do was ask God, like, God, give me the strength to make sure that I can do whatever it is I need to do to put myself in a position to be where you want me to be and to put myself in a position to be successful. So, yeah, man, I said the one word is God, man, to keep me on that up and up.
I love that. Yeah. Shout out to God.
Shout out to
it. God is good.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Well, man, DiAndre, bro, again, super proud of you, man, for everything you're doing and will continue to do. You know you got support with us all the time over here.
Most definitely.
Yeah, man, and with that said, I think it's safe to say our brother DiAndre Campbell is officially a member of the UpNUp. Can we get a round of applause, man? We're going to close this out.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
Appreciate you, dog.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
To continue supporting the podcast and the entire UpNUp movement, be sure to rate, review, like, and subscribe.
As well as follow us at _ the UpNUp on all social media platforms to stay connected with everything the UpNUp has coming your way.
Thanks for listening, and until the next one,
keep it on the UpNUp.